I'm your daddy.
I can be smart when it's important.
I'm your daddy. I'm
sorry to this
I'm your daddy.
Welcome to Daddy Dailies, a podcast hosted by Not Your Daddy's Films. On a film set, dailies are sent out after a shoot day so you can see the work in progress. Daddy Dailies are conversations that go behind the scenes so you can see what work went into the process and be better armed to succeed in the industry. Daddy Dailies, hosted by Not Your Daddy's Films.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Daddy Dailies. I'm Vika Stubblebine.
Hi, I'm Nicole Lipp, and we are two of the co-founders of Not Your Daddy's Films.
And your hosts for today. We are with Alex Heller.
We're so excited to have Alex Heller on the pod. Alex Heller is a filmmaker from the south side of Chicago who now works between LA, Chicago, and Oslo, Norway. Her debut feature film, The Year Between, an autobiographical comedy about bipolar disorder, has received praise from the New York Times, Variety, Roger Ebert, and NPR. And
so
me.
Sick.
It's really good.
Really good.
The film stars J. Smith Cameron and Steve Buscemi alongside Heller herself. It premiered at the 2022 Tribeca Film Festival, then received the Audience Award at the Chicago International Film Festival, Best New Director's Feature at the Nashville Film Festival, and was acquired by Peacock. Again, it's really good. You should watch it. Her recent short film, Debaters, premiered at the 2025 Sundance Film Festival, is a proof of concept for an upcoming feature film co-starring J. Smith Cameron and Kenneth Lonergan. Alex is a 2020 Sundance Feature Film Fellow and a lifelong miniaturist. Welcome to Daddy Dailies.
Thanks so much for having me.
Oh my God, so happy to have you. We screened your short Holiday House at a Not Your Daddy's Films event, and that is when I learned that you actually do miniatures yourself, because now I know all of that is super accurate in that short film.
Yeah, it's really important that you know that.
That's probably the most important thing about you.
Exactly.
People need to know
I'm
that
gonna
you
leave
are a
now.
miniaturist. Okay.
And Holiday House is about like this person who becomes obsessed with a influencer who does miniatures online and like goes to meet them and everything. And I think that having seen your feature and your two shorts, you have more than a two? Well, you have one coming out.
Yeah, there's a slew on the internet. There's just like, I love shorts.
You love shorts.
So I love Not Your Daddy's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the two, I guess, that like we just talked about, Holiday House and Debaters, and The Year Between, I think you're really, really good at these like bringing the inside out loud, like the inner monologue and these like unique human experiences and sort of that like weird, the thing that like you yourself might think is weird, but
I think it's specificity.
Yeah.
Like all of your work has such incredible human specificity to it that you're like, no one could have written this or directed this or in some cases acted this but you. Mm-hmm. And I think that is like so key to what makes your work so special. So
wow, thank you so much.
Big
That's so
fan.
nice. Thank you.
Were you always obsessed with like movies and TV, or how did you come to writing and directing?
I think I just I've always been like an excessively emotional person, and I sort of came to it through having too many feelings and psychological distress and like leading me to like being an avid live journaler, and then
Like Zanga?
yeah, like cousin of Zanga, like I just came to writing and storytelling through depicting my own life, and that's probably why, you know, so many personal details shine through everything, because I'm very memory driven. I usually write about things that like left a significant emotional impact on me.
Yeah. Something when we first met that we talked a lot about was like, how did you make your feature film? And I was so inspired and excited that you had done it yourself and had like figured it out. And I know you went to school and you like have a background in making things, so it wasn't like you were completely blind and everything, but I know we really want to talk today about how you made it happen, because so many people find the process of raising money, finding financiers or investors so overwhelming.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about like how you actually got your green light, if you will?
Yes, definitely. It's kind of a long story, so just feel free to like be like, shut up, or, you know, reroute. But as you said, I would say it kind of starts with, I went to Northwestern, studied film there, and that, like, the key part of that education was my incredible classmates. Like, the network of people I was immediately in school with, there's this like hustling, super ambitious vibe at that school, and a lot of really amazing, talented, creative people I met there who are doing huge things now. And
don't you call it like the purple mafia or something?
oh my God.
Is that so cringe?
It's like, I have never uttered those words, and if I do, like, I'll see myself out. No, I'm kidding. It's cool. I think that's right. I think that's right.
Wow.
So yes, we, the Purple Mafia, post Northwestern graduates.
That's the clip.
When I graduated college, I was making shorts in Chicago while working at a bar and a restaurant and a minimum wage assistant editing job. And I was making a lot of low budget projects with like the help of my friends, and we were all in a similar place of just starting out. We all had like a skill set acquired from school and big dreams, and no money, and living in Chicago, which is where I'm from. And so I was making like a lot of content with very little resources, and this and out of necessity, like editing a lot of my own work, kind of wearing a lot of hats. And this is not me saying, oh wow, I did it all myself. Like, certainly not. Shout out to former peer and friend, current friend, former peer, Jason Chu's DP based in Chicago, who shot a lot of my shorts. And I had no money, and all my friends were just like down to collab. And so,
did he own his own like gear at that point?
Yeah, like I think like sometimes we'd like pay a couple $100s to like rent a slightly nicer camera or something, but it was really like typically me, him, and a sound person.
Wow.
And that's also like where I came about acting in some of my own stuff. It was just sort of easier because I was like there.
Did you have acting training?
I had no acting training, but at Northwestern, I fell into a dark hole of improv for 4 years. So
Everyone,
How are you doing now?
I'm recovering.
everyone does improv talks about it like that. Like,
No, I know.
former improv, because one of my best friends, Andreas, also did improv. He loved it. Is still really good friends with all those people.
Totally.
But is always like so apologetic about it when he tells people that he did that.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than bad improv.
Yes.
So you have to be like, trust me, it was good.
You know what, though? You're so right. Like, it's become chuggy to make fun of improv.
Has it?
Yeah.
Okay, I now know.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, everyone is just like, it's like how everyone started hating Nickelback at the same time. But it's like, do we hate the band?
Leave Nickelback alone.
Yeah,
man.
well, do we hate them, or is it just like the
trendy.
zeitgeist to hate them?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
interesting.
anyway, I loved improv while I was in school. And I really enjoyed performing, and I really enjoyed like the people I met through it. So similar to your friend, I had the same experience, and I had been on like a stage acting a fool for years. So that was my experience. And that said, I definitely have never had like this burning desire to be an actor. I find it very, very difficult and stressful, but all the respect to it.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so I'm making these things in Chicago and like really refining my skills. And I think I can only speak to my own experience, but starting from a place of making things with few resources, like really forces you to focus on the basics.
Yeah.
When you only have like one location and two characters or whatever, like it's really about the storytelling on a core level. And I think that was very helpful for me to sort of like cut my teeth as a director and a filmmaker, because I didn't jump into making higher budget things right away.
Yeah.
I focused on these basics first. And
How long? Okay, I love a timeline.
Yeah,
I
please.
like to know like how long things
Yes.
take. So like, you graduated Northwestern in what year, and then like
Yeah.
for how long were you doing this kind of filmmaking?
Yeah. So, and I'll say too, like the feature development is kind of happening in tandem with the shorts. Well, I'll explain, but I graduated when I was 22, I think, in 2015. And there are sort of like key moments where of the development process for the feature where things like took a big step forward, and often they would like idle for years until that step happened.
When did you write the feature?
I wrote the first draft of the feature, my senior year of college.
Wow.
In a writing class.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, and it was very cathartic because like I had, taken time off school to deal with the mental illness. I'd come back. I hadn't really like spoken on it to people yet. I was very private about it and felt weird about it. And I was like taking a bus in secret to see a psychiatrist twice a week in the city. And it was just this kind of...
Hold on.
Yeah.
I think for the viewer who hasn't watched your movie yet, and everyone listening to this needs to go watch it immediately, I can't say enough how much that movie meant to me. I loved it so much as someone who has survived mental illness as well. We talk about my mental illness all the fucking time now. Anyway, can you give us the quick like log line about it? And just the log line just so people know what we're talking about.
A semi-autobiographical dark comedy about a young woman dealing with the aftermath of a bipolar disorder diagnosis alongside a family who is also dealing with the diagnosis and this like very troubled person.
And she takes a year off from college to get better.
She takes a year to figure out treatment and to sort of discern what is mental illness and what is a bad personality and how those two things can like feed into each other and what we owe the people in our lives and what we don't owe them.
Yeah. I think about that all the time, actually. Yeah. As like an artist, just like tangent, like what is just for me.
Yeah.
And I think in the advent of social media and how much we like people are putting their innermost thoughts online, that is a question that is so relevant. It's like, well, what happens, like it's cathartic to share this, but then what happens once it's out into the world and do I want that? Is that helpful to me? Is that not? And kind of being able to discern for yourself can be really hard.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's really brave also.
Thank
Agreed.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like so vulnerable and so brave and like it's a meaningful story.
I didn't mean to
you.
compare your film to fucking TikTok. Like, I think what you made is
wishes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I also love TikTok and think there's like great artists on there. Yeah.
I mean, I want to be relevant.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
So just put your whole movie on TikTok in 1 minute segments.
But people are actually kind of doing that, right? Like putting little clips. Like,
I was kind of joking when I just said that, but people.
But you're
are
also
doing
like,
that.
but
That's
actually
a
though.
thing.
One key thing I think is like, at the time, I feel like it's become more normal to like joke about mental illness or approach it with levity. But when I first wrote the first draft, I didn't feel like there was a lot of media that represented mental illness in a nuanced way that was funny and mundane. Because I'm like, I have dumb shit that happens to me on a daily basis that's like not extreme mania or extreme depression, and there's all these interesting colorful moments in between. So that's like something I really wanted to focus on. So I wrote the first draft of this screenplay in college. I drew a lot from also a friend of mine who had dropped out of college from depression, and I wrote this really intense emotional story. And honestly, I didn't think anyone would ever read it, but my teacher obviously read it, and he like really, really encouraged me. And that was kind of like the first time where I was like, wait, is this good? Like one person responding that way was like the first domino in me deigning to share it with other people. The first sort of starting point so I have this script. I'm living in Chicago. I'm working like 18 jobs and kind of hating my life, but also it's fine. And then one of my roommates and former Northwestern classmates is interning at a small nonprofit production company called Full Spectrum Features. And she's like, hey, we're doing a film festival. You should submit your senior directing short, which is called Hand Job. I submitted it. It didn't get in, but the head of the company, and he's a producer, Eugene Park, was like, I really love this short. It's not a fit, but what else does this artist have? And then I shared my feature script, and we bonded over a shared experience of mental illness in college and whatnot. And he was the first producer I had who was like, I want to make this movie with my company. And at the time I had absolutely like no idea
what that meant. Yeah.
You know, I had never like interned in LA. I truly had never worked in the industry at all, in any capacity. I hadn't even been to LA before. And so I was like, wait, so what are we gonna do? Are we gonna like start a Kickstarter and raise, you know, $50,000? The biggest number I can possibly think of.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know? And which is like, people have made great movies for that and less. So it's like, that was like my, you know, super ambitious thought at the time. And I made this Instagram account, again, with my friend Julia at first, the same friend who shared the script, and it was called The Mentally Trillist. And it was like mental illness memes. And I posted every day for years, and it kind of grew a following, and it became like micro viral in a way, like not really. But anyway, I felt like posting this content every day really made me feel in touch with the kinds of people who would watch this movie.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had this lifeline out to the audience. And I also was thinking about like what humor actually feels like too far or actually funny or relevant, or is there one sort of shared thing that people really, really love? And anyway, my discourse with these, you know, internet friends over the years really did inform like rewrites of the script.
Wow.
Which was super cool. And anyway,
was there anything like anything you want to share that was like a joke you realized wasn't funny, or vice versa, like from that feedback?
Yeah, I mean,
This is
this is the dumbest thing that comes to mind. Was like one time I made like an Instagram story of me filling my weekly pill container and like putting the pills in and then putting candy in all the spaces. And I was just doing that was my daily like sort of dumb thing that I did, but people like thought that was so funny, and like and then that became like a shot in the movie.
Oh, I love that.
So that's a small thing, but something like that. But I also like had this bigger thing in mind where I was like, if I could build this audience now, then if I need to do like a crowdfunding campaign, like
You have a built-in.
yeah, these are people who in theory would want to invest in the movie and would want to see it come to life, would be interested.
That's so smart.
Yeah, so that was the plan. And when the number was 50,000, or even when before that I was 10,000, whatever, like an amount of money that I felt would come from a combination of like me working jobs, my family, if I like begged them hard enough, some friends who I like guilted into it, and then like people on the internet who I could get to give $2 or whatever.
I think that's really because like whatever your version is of that, when I made my first short film, I put in my own money, but I also I didn't have enough.
Yeah.
I'm like I don't even think I was necessarily an assistant yet. I was like working really low paying jobs, and I was so surprised because I wasn't thinking outside the box like that.
Yeah.
Who would care and who would want to see it come to life? Totally. And honestly, like so many older folks in my life who had different careers but like were creative at heart and were like, oh man, it's so cool that you want to make something like that. Like I have had a long career and would love to see this come to life. And
The shadow artists.
Yeah, instead of just like my peers who also didn't have any money.
Right.
It was really
It's
helpful.
so rough when you're like, we're both broke. Can I please have $20 for my short film?
We
And
just
you're
keep
like,
trading
God,
$20
please stop.
back
Yes.
and forth to help each other make short films. Yeah.
Exactly.
How many times have we all done that?
Exactly. Yeah. So that was like the original vision. So I started working with Eugene, and we were like, let's try to find a way to raise $150,000 to make this movie in Chicago. And like I'm like, that is $7 billion to me, like holy shit. But part of the strategy of trying to do that was to do the thing of applying to a bunch of like labs and screenplay competitions. Like at this point I was like, okay, I think this script like has some teeth, like people are reading it and really responding to it.
How did you know about the labs and the competitions? Did Eugene tell you to do that, or?
I think I knew a little bit from Northwestern. I mean, I had heard of the Sundance lab because it's just the famousness of it. And like the Austin screenwriting lab, and I think that's what it's called. Like, anyway, I was applying to all this stuff and I got denied from every single thing. What's important to note is that like this journey with the movie is happening alongside making the shorts, so that even though I'm on this like really long thing that feels aimless, I'm always making things and feeling accomplished and like I'm moving forward because I am completing like projects.
Yeah.
And I'm not just waiting on one project that feels like it may or may never come.
That's the best advice ever.
Yes.
Because making something long form is a long process.
Yes. And you have to protect your sanity
Yeah.
during that time.
I'm always hearing people compare being an artist or being a filmmaker to dating, and I think that feels like the easiest version of the comparison, where it's like if you're going on a lot of first dates, it's easy to not hyper focus on one and be like, oh, they don't like me back. I'm unlovable. I'm blah, blah, blah. All the like extreme places your brain goes.
Yeah.
But if you're going on a bunch of dates and then you're like, oh, I get to, in this case, develop my voice, and I get to see a finished product, and I get to see, oh, like I really liked this, and this thing I would probably do different next time. And like you get that dopamine too, of like,
exactly.
you know, the dopamine hit of like, cool, like we made this thing and I'm really proud of that.
Yeah.
And like,
on a long journey of constant, like, it hasn't happened for me yet. It hasn't happened, or I didn't do it. You have little moments of like, I did do it. I did that. And I'm proud of myself. And you really have to like, you have to protect your sanity and your self-worth while you're on the journey. Yeah.
What were you doing with all these little shorts? Were you putting them online? Were you submitting them to festivals? Were they just languishing on a hard drive somewhere?
Yeah, like I was submitting to like some festivals. Some like just went on the internet. I would say it was like a mix. I can tell you I never had a short in like a major film festival before the feature. Wow. But I did have like a lot of shorts, which did come into play later with getting attachments for the feature, because I know people were like, even though you don't have like a short that played at Sundance or whatever, you have like 10 shorts and like you have like a body of work.
Yeah.
And
Clear POV and a voice and a capability.
And like, even though this thing doesn't look expensive, we can tell there's like a point of view and the writing is strong.
I love that.
Yeah. And you can see a growth if you like watch multiple films. It's like, I think people have often commented on me being like sort of a single-minded like hustler, like it sounds cringe, I guess, but it's not like, oh my god, I made like the best work of all time. It's more just like I just never stop making it, and I'm like, I just make a lot of it.
You didn't get any of these things that you applied for.
I didn't get any of these things I applied for. I was feeling really demoralized. This is like one of my crazy short endeavors. So one of my friends, Leo Meal, they would be like maybe so horrified if they ever found out I was talking about this. But we made a VR short, which is very, very expensive to do. Like even the most basic rudimentary version of it is like going to be $20,000 or whatever.
Damn,
like
wow.
it's that looks like it was shot on like the first phone ever made. Like it's really crazy. But like we were like, this is necessary.
The future.
We need to like.
You two took it upon yourselves to be like, we're gonna make a VR short.
Yes, and we
no
spent
one asked
years.
for this.
No one asked. No one. It never saw the light of day. It was like and so and it's like a 360, and I think there's good things about it. Like I think it's very impressive and like ambitious in a way, but like Leo's like, please stop. No one has seen that, and it's not available, but
and it won't be.
But it's just like exactly. But it's just like this that was like an example of something that was going on while I was applying to the Sundance Lab, etc., all this stuff. And I was like, well, maybe I'm about to become like a famous VR experience creator. Like, I don't know.
Oh my
you know
God.
what I mean?
Anything is
delusional.
possible.
Right.
It's
Anything
not
is possible.
too late.
It's
You
truly
could
not
change
too late. No, it's not too late. I would be down.
Leo, are you listening?
Leo, come through. Yeah. Like, So there was, honestly, I was like teetering. It was right around my birthday of turning some age, who knows, but it was in my 20s. And I was really like, this plan sucks and I don't want to work on this movie anymore. Like, what is the point? I'm like really chasing. By the way, like during the time too, I'm applying for like big girl jobs. I'm just not getting them. Like I was like, I'll work at, Grubhub and like get health insurance, and they were like, we're not interested in you. So
I'm only laughing because it's so freaking relatable.
yeah, no, it's real. It's like, it's funny to be like, okay, I went to film school. All right, I'm not famous after 6 months. I guess I'll take like a super high paying salary desk job. And they're like, no, you won't. Like, you know what I mean? So and then you're like, right. Okay,
I mean, I kind of accidentally did that. I mean, not on that level, but like, like 6 months out of college, I was like, fuck this. And I went and like worked in marketing. So
I think that's cool. Like, it's like, I wanted to, like, please don't get me wrong. I was not, but
no,
it wasn't
I think
fun.
You were smart. Both of you.
I would have rather been making short films, but I didn't know yet at the time that that's what I wanted to do. So you never know. Hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know what the path's gonna be, and if you hadn't done that, you maybe wouldn't be like running this, and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
everything
and
is,
honestly, her marketing background is so freaking valuable for us.
Totally.
I don't know. I don't want to be a marketing person. I need to stop talking about it. It was so traumatic.
No, but like I bet those skills do serve you,
do.
even if it's on a subconscious level of just like knowing how to
But you're really
put stuff
lucky
out
that
there.
Grubhub didn't get in your way.
I feel
Grubhub,
like
if you want to sponsor the podcast, call us.
I feel like I'm throwing so much shade on Grubhub, but like
we love you, Grubhub.
Also, I don't love
Grubhub.
you because you didn't even
Hire
give me an
me.
interview.
Never used
Yeah.
You know what I
before.
mean?
don't
But also,
really
I'm
know.
fine with you. Yeah, it's like, isn't it like Postmates?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you.
I'm like
anything
pretending
about
not to know. I don't. I know that what it is. So it was weird because it was like this time where I really felt like I've had enough, and I've had like a lot of those moments. We all have, I'm sure. But a key thing that happened. Okay, this is really important, I think. So during this time where I'm applying for a bunch of stuff, a lot of the things I'm like applying for online and spending $50 on or whatever, I'm not getting into any of those things. But I am also doing some more like local things that are small, like getting coffee with people who like, I'm not even sure if they're tangential to the film industry, but they know someone. Or a big thing was I participated in this pitch competition at the Chicago Film Festival. And this was, and a lot of festivals have stuff like this, that it's like, in some cases, like a lot of money at stake, or it's very high profile. This was a smaller program. It like wasn't hard to get in, and I just did it. And
Did you pitch?
I pitched The Year Between with Eugene. And
together. Oh, that's
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
And there was like 2 people in the audience and like whatever, but one of the judges was Amy Hobby, who ran the Tribeca Film Institute at the time. And, we didn't win this pitch competition, but she loved the script and was like, hey, we have programs at Tribeca, like you should apply to ours. And so now I've had someone who is very high up there, has read my script, is aware of me, has met me in person, just from like a small local event in Chicago. And something I tell people all the time is like, don't overlook things that aren't like the peak, most shiniest, prestigious, competitive thing.
Yeah,
that
and
makes sense.
also you
Like,
are a filmmaker from Chicago making a movie that takes place in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I think in addition to what you're saying, people really want to support like their hometown.
Exactly.
folks.
Totally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And finding people who share those roots with you. And so I just think it's like, it's really, I think a lot of people like write their first script and apply to like Sundance and South by and whatever, like the biggest things, and then they don't get in and they're like totally discouraged. And I would just advise everyone to not feel that way. I mean, sometimes people who are lucky and did get in, but on the first try, but like that wasn't me. I applied to the Sundance Lab 3 times with the same project.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the third time I was invited to apply, and it was like further in the journey, and it just goes to show. And I mean, the script had improved a lot at that point, because I wrote ultimately like 15 drafts of the script over the years. Kept rewriting it, which also I think is so crucial and people need to do. Like, people will be writing two drafts of their script, toting the same version around for 4 years. It's it's very confusing. I would advise against that.
I would also. I mean,
Yeah.
I could do a whole podcast on that topic. Yeah.
Totally. Like, I would listen to that because I think, I mean, I just, I don't know. Like, sometimes I get sent a script and it's like the date from the revision is like 2 years ago. And I'm like, I think this is crazy. At least change it. At least lie. Like, at least say it was
Just
recent.
take the date off.
Yeah. Like, so, but anyway, I think it's important to constantly be refining your script and your body of work that's on the internet and whatever, because at some point, whether it's 2 weeks or 10 years or whatever, the person who's going to be like the person who opens the door for you will check you out and see your stuff, and they'll look at it one time, and it should be as good as it can possibly be when that day happens.
Yeah.
So like that's what you should be doing during this time where you're like grinding on the big thing, is like preparing my stuff and making sure it's as tight and awesome as it can possibly be. Like,
That's what you have control over.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't necessarily have control over when the seed you planted is going to grow, but you do have control over your own skill set.
Exactly.
So when you are doing all these things, and I think especially hearing this like stepped out, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad you were making all these shorts at the same time because it is such a long process. What was the first like, oh, we got some money or we got someone interested?
So the first thing was when I was like invited or sort of encouraged to apply for those Tribeca programs, I did. And we shockingly got into first this program called Tribeca All Access, but then they do a pitch. And at the same time, or at the time it was only the second year of it, but they do a pitch called Untold Stories, which everyone should apply to. It's awesome. But it's like 5 indie projects pitch for $1 million grant. You have to make the movie within the year, and then it premieres at Tribeca the next year. Even though the Tribeca Film Institute unfortunately is like dissolved, that program is still going. And all you need is a great script and like a producer by your side to pitch. And so we did this.
What year? What year was this?
In terms of development, I feel like this was year like 3.
Okay.
And that felt like a huge break. Like, we're breaking out of Chicago. We're going to fly to New York. We're going to do this stuff. It's going to be awesome. So basically, I did that pitch. I think we did a really great job. We worked really hard. We did not win the $1 million grant. But from that experience, once again, one of the people judging it, one of the panelists, took an interest in the script and optioned it. So I was gonna make $5,000, and I was like, okay, I'm making $7 million. Once again, like, that's a huge amount of money.
Yes, totally.
So
especially when you've never been paid to write before.
Never, yeah,
You're like,
exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was like, okay, I'm rich. So the amount of money you like need for a script, and I know you guys know this, but is like, it just differs based on who wants to make it and what level they want to make it at. So it's like, we have the $150,000 version. We also have made a $1 million version for this Tribeca pitch, because it's like, if we win this amount of money, this is the budget now. So that's our budget now. It's $1 million. It could be less.
Were there differences in the script from the 150 to the 1 million, or was it more like
not
just
really
the way you pitched it?
It was just always just like a narrative evolution, but it was nothing for the sake of like
now we're gonna add an explosion.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, it was nothing dependent on money, only just like its evolution as a story.
Right.
So then it was like $1 million budget, and then these people optioned it, and they're like, we want to make it for $3 million, and that's their vision. And I, like, long story short, with that chapter, which lasted 2.5 years, I was removed as a director and kind of cut out of the picture.
Wow.
Which will tie into my hot take at the end. It was a really tough time, and I didn't see it coming, but there was a lot for me that was gained during that period of time. And so I like truly believe everything happened the way it was supposed to. I made my last short at the time, Forever House, which was me, my mom and dad in our house after I lost my apartment, after I got from the pandemic and the movie falling apart and everything was falling apart. That was another like what the fuck moment where it was just like everything has gone to shit. Like, I left LA. That was the next like woe is me big moment. But again, I just like went home, made this short. Then me and Casper lived in the desert for 6 months. I edited it out there and wrote another movie. And basically, while I was living out there, this was all pandemic time, the option expired. These people who wanted to make the movie, they didn't get the financing, and I got the rights back. So now it's year, I think, probably 6 or 7 of development. Wow. And I am, in some ways, have started from square one, but Eugene is still in the picture as one of the producers.
Was Eugene still on it, producing it for those other people that had
yeah,
kind of cut you out?
Yeah, he was still always attached, because I was always like, I'm not like
handing it over blindly.
Well, also it was just like always a stipulation for me of like my involvement in any way is that he had to be attached. Yeah, you got to have people that have your back and vice versa, because people get a hold of your material and act like they love the package you're presenting, and then legally, if they can, sometimes they'll unfortunately pick it apart and make it like what they want it to be, or what they think is marketable. So I get the rights back in May of 2021, and even though it feels like, oh my God, I'm starting over, there was some cast attached, they like dropped out because we lost everything. And however, during that time of this period where I, again, was kind of excommunicated, and I told you I started writing this other script. This other script is set in Norway, and I met this other like Norwegian producer, and she's also American, and we were connecting over that project. When I got the rights back, I'd really vibed with this producer, Amanda Phillips, and I was like, do you want to come on and join me and Eugene? Like, because we had really connected. Sorry to keep like kind of going backwards, and it's such a hard, because it's such a non-linear journey. It's like okay. hard to tell a story about it in a linear
No,
way.
it's helpful to have these details though, because I think people often are like, oh, they struck gold. They just got lucky. They met the person that greenlit the thing, but it's so much more complex than that.
No, it's crazy, and it's just like you have to just keep meeting people and expanding your network. And
also the fact that like when it was with people and you weren't involved really the way that you had thought you would be or wanted to be, you could have been like, you know what, that's dead. I'm done. But you got the rights back, and then you eventually did make this movie. So like that is, I think, really valuable.
How did you meet? What was the name of the
Amanda?
producer?
Yeah, so Amanda Phillips. Like that was a super key advancement, because so a big thing that happened during the dead period or whatever of time was I was invited to apply to do this Sundance lab, and at that program, everyone was assigned a mentor, and my mentor was this amazing director, Susanna Fogel. And
I love her.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's so cool. Amazing. She's great. And when I get the rights back, I'm like, okay, well, Amanda's awesome, and she's like got the hunger in her eyes. She's the genesis of the movie Winner was like Amanda personally optioned an article and then found Susanna and attached her to the project, and then found the financing. Like she really put this thing together from nothing.
Yeah.
And so, and that movie premiered at Sundance a couple of years ago. But so Amanda becomes a producer of the year between. And the other key thing is that Susanna introduces me to this casting director, Deanna Brigidi, who Susanna works with on everything. And Deanna, I mean, normally you got to pay a casting director to start working, but we don't have any financing. Like, we can't pay her. And she loves the script, so she's like, I'm down to like get started.
Wow.
And
is that who brought on
the first cat,
like
all the cast.
Buscemi and everyone?
Who was first?
So the first person was actually me, which is crazy because
you weren't planning to be in it.
No, I wasn't planning to act in it. That was never part of my vision. I knew I could do it. Like the humor and the character were based on me, but I didn't really identify as an actor, and I wanted to focus more on the directing. So it was kind of pitched to me like, hey, the amount of people who get a movie financed for multiple $1 million is like this big. So unless you have one of those people, there's kind of no point in like trying to cast around guessing who you think is going to get this movie financed, because it's like unlikely.
Interesting.
So you should just act in it, because you're going to make it probably around $1 million, and it'll be like this indie package more so of this person who's like the voice of it. They're the writer, the director, they're the star.
The marketing
based
angle
on
of
them.
that is really attractive.
Wow. And like people who want to make this movie are going to do so because of like loving the project and the mission statement behind it and wanting to bring that to life. And so probably not because they think they're going to like get super rich off it or something. So it's like artistically it was this picture that was painted. And then we went to J. Smith Cameron to play the role of Sherry, who is like my character's mom.
And you didn't have a pre-existing like relationship
No.
with any of these actors.
It was like a cold outreach through casting.
Yeah.
Did casting Deanna? Did
Yes.
she have like personal relationships with Jay and Steve?
No,
Talking like they're my besties, Jay and Steve.
No, please, that's their names. I mean, no, she didn't. I mean, she probably had some sort of relationship with Jay's reps on some level. Like maybe. I mean,
Right.
these casting directors, I'm learning more and more. I mean, mainly Deanna, because I'm like working with her on multiple things. Like a huge part of the job is to like
Know these people.
know people's
Yes.
reps and know them and know who's looking for what. And it's like having amazing taste and digging out talent is one part of it. And then another like part of it is really extensively like, what is their network?
Were you like watching Succession and being like, that's my mom?
I loved Succession so much, and I just I think there was something about Jay's like humor and dryness and just like sensibility that I found so hilarious and also so like Midwest weirdly.
Yeah,
totally.
Even though she's not from the Midwest, like
You've also worked together since.
yeah, we have, and
yeah.
we're like definitely friends, and she's awesome. And so she was down to do the movie, and then from there, like we started casting other roles, and I think one of the last roles was her husband, my character's dad, and I wanted to involve Jay in that because I felt like it would be a bonding experience for us. I felt like it would help bring the best performance out of her if she kind of had a say in like who was playing her husband, and I just thought she had good taste too. And so anyway, it was her idea to reach out to Steve, like because they'd worked together on a movie called Nancy starring Andrea Riseborough. She was able to send him the script to directly to his email, and also one of our producers, Rachel Gold, like knew him on some level, so she followed up and she was like, will you read this or something, something or the other.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah, we
That's
did
really
get
cool.
to him through like a personal way.
Cool.
He and I hit it off. So like that was great. That said,
Because you're not just sorry to interrupt
Yeah,
you,
please.
but I think it's so, you're not just in a scene with people, which
Yeah.
I think from putting my actor hat on, like it's a different thing, and it's so important to be able to connect and do that work with your scene partners, but you're also directing these people and you're also acting as a producer. So it's like now it's not just you doing scene work with them, but then being in the scene with them, directing them, all this stuff. So I feel like those relationships are so key, and I love that you found people that you really liked doing that with.
Yeah.
definitely, it's like you're in the trenches. So yeah, there's got to be like a great personal connection there and flow between everybody.
Just wearing your director hat for a
Yeah.
second. Were you like freaking out when you're like, holy shit, I get to direct these two iconic, brilliant, like
Are you just so in it
perfect
that you're like
actors?
full steam
Well,
ahead?
Interestingly, like that, it's kind of that because I was very starstruck at first, but then once we got into the work of it, I was stretched so thin that I really did not have like an ounce of energy to be worried about
Insecure.
anything other than like the task that was right in front of me. And
yeah.
I actually think it like helped the fact that I was acting alongside them because it just put me into like this fight or flight mode. Weirdly, like when I was directing later, Jay and Kenneth Lonergan in my Debaters short, and I wasn't acting in that, I was only directing, that was like maybe in some ways more nerve-wracking. I just had more to think about with them, and I wasn't like in it with them. I think there's something really cool about acting in that you like become peers with your cast in a different type of way. And you are controlling the energy from within the scene rather than just like puppeteering it between takes or whatever. So that's really useful in its own way. And like I had done that in my shorts. So
it wasn't the first time.
right.
Yeah.
So like I had experience with that, and also like Jason Chu shot the feature as well, and like we had developed, that was key because we had developed such a working dynamic of like I direct and act and you shoot, and we are become one mind and we make it happen.
I love that.
And it carried over into the feature. There was like, for me, I'm like,
amazing.
I'm not making this movie unless he's shooting it. Like, it's necessary. Like,
was that easy with everyone involved? You were just like, this is my DP, and everyone was like, yeah, cool. Or did they like want you to interview other people?
I will say like the main financier and producers Level Forward were super supportive of my choices and whims.
I love that.
That's
and
amazing.
Like, I don't think that's typically the norm from what I have later learned, because at the time I was living in Chicago and like it didn't really, or I just hadn't lived out here long, and I didn't really understand that that's like an abnormality. Like typically, you know, there's a lot more pressure on who you can and can't hire or whatever.
Yeah. When you're doing this whole process, because something that I feel like I talk a lot about with my friends and is when to get reps. Like, when do you need a manager and when do you need an agent? Yeah. Did you have somebody like, or a lawyer or somebody at this point?
So I had just signed with a manager like right before the movie got greenlit, we'd all been trying to like put in motion. Was separate from that, really.
Okay. So you don't have to have reps to make your movie.
No, but like actually, and I mean, my manager, Emily, she's great. That's who I signed with at the time, Emily Rose. But yes, I would say like it's not necessarily crucial to have reps to make your movie, but I don't think, I just think there's an exception to anything that everyone says.
Every
like, you
rule,
need
especially
this,
in this industry.
Yeah, like there's just, and especially in like when you're in a small indie space or, I think sometimes even people in LA like get too wrapped up in the industry and the way it works. And they're like, well, this person says I can't do this thing or that I need X, Y, and Z or whatever. So that's law. If we're making indie films, like we shouldn't feel so attached to the way that like bigger giant movies get made and get put together, because we're like not the same thing at all. Like I think you just need to question everything and like that everyone tells you that can't
the rules.
Like truly, like
we're here to make art, not like
I mean,
I've rocket science, as they say.
I've had people tell me like, take all your old shorts off the internet, they're like, they look like shit or whatever, and there's some truth to that in a way. But it's like, then it was like Steve, before he signed on, and my manager, both of them watched that at the time most recent short, Forever House, and they really liked it. And they were like, and even though it wasn't super polished, they were like really into it. So it was like, for every piece of advice you follow, it's just like there's probably a reason it's not true. Which is maddening, but
you're not going to be for everyone. And I think that's really hard for me as a people pleaser. But being an artist means you have a point of view, and not everyone's going to get it.
Right.
Yeah. But the right people will, and they'll find you.
Yeah. And it's just like, if you just survive long enough and meet enough people and make your work as you as it can possibly be, it's like, it's not about being as good as it can be. It's about being as specific as it can be, I think. Like, because good is subjective, but you can't really argue with like uniqueness, I think.
We're at the part of the story now where we have key cast attached.
Yeah.
And they're big deal cast. Yeah. So, but you still don't have financing.
Yeah. So at this point we have like a sort of somewhat interested group in Chicago of investors called the Chicago Media Angels, but they don't really fully want to know yet. And like, they are a little bit, as most investors usually are, they're like, are we the first money in? That can be scary. And so then there was this other interesting company, Level Forward, who Amanda Phillips connected with because she'd like been to a luncheon 5 years ago with like one of the people at Level Forward and like reached out with the script. I mean, really, it's just so crazy how many doors you knock on from like everyone you've ever met in your life during this process.
And maintaining your relationships is so
exactly.
key.
But that was the connection with Adrienne Becker that made her read the script. She loved it. Her company then was technically like the first money in, half financed it, came in for more later. The budget was $1.1 million. And my film, since it pertains to like mental health, there is sort of like a social impact part of it.
Totally.
And both companies of Full Spectrum and Level Forward have that angle with the kind of productions they make. So it fit under the umbrella of like their mission statement. You know, I'm sure that there's some sort of like tax deductible situation with the investment.
Right.
Also, there is money to be made, like looking at it from a business standpoint, in impact campaigns on these kinds of films, meaning like you can develop a program and sell it to schools or whatever, where like I can't really speak about it in a super detailed way, but this is something we've been working on with The Year Between, where there's like resources tied to like a Q&A about the film.
Wow.
And it's something that schools can license, like they can do a screening. Anyway,
love that.
That's really cool.
yeah, to distill that, it's like when there's a social impact aspect of the movie or the story, look for the thing that makes your thing speak to like a certain group of people.
Sure.
And they can potentially benefit in certain ways.
Well, it's, to that end, there's a lot of there are a lot of grants. There are a lot of production companies who like to put an emphasis on environmental impact storytelling. So if you have an element of that in your script or your pitch or whatever, like that's another angle to look at something through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sloan Foundation.
Yeah.
There's any
100%.
off the top of my head, you know?
Yeah.
Science or STEM related stories.
We could talk about the whole process of The Year Between for a million years. I have so many more follow-up questions, but let's move forward a little bit. So you made this incredible movie. It premiered a major festival. It's now on Peacock. I really can't speak highly enough of this film. And then you, from there, because it seems to be your ethos, you kept making shorts.
Yes.
So I want to know about like your process, how you decided from there to keep making shorts. And I believe all the shorts you've made since then have had some like really good key cast members as well. Are those all personal relationships, or did those come from the casting director? And
So The Year Between came out on Peacock on like day one of the writer's strike. And so the industry shut down, and I was just like, wait, what? I thought I was going to get a million work opportunities off this. Yeah. And I was very defeated, but also I was like, okay, silver lining of this moment is that it forces me to get off this wheel of creating and promoting and making my DNA this one movie that I love deeply, but also like I need to see what's beyond it as well. And especially when being the face of something that's like for so long, it's like I needed to step out of that like spotlight in a way and like just do something totally different. And I was like, well, I'm not going to just wait another 8 years or whenever to make another feature. Like, I want to make stuff. So I went back to my roots of gathering like a couple talented friends in LA and was like, I'm going to make this really weird like dollhouse thriller comedy short. It's like because I want to and because I made a dollhouse. So with that, like I went to Sundance the year before to see Leo's movie Mutt, which is a great feature. But just for fun. And I met Anna Sophia Robb there just as like a friend in passing. No, like we weren't friends at the time. We just met.
You met and you became friends.
Yeah, we met and we were just seeing movies and it was like, hey. And she watched The Year Between. We like stayed in touch. And so then I didn't really, we were not friends off of that. We just like met. And then when I wanted to make this short, I reached out to her and she was down to act in it. And I kind of have just been like with all three of these shorts to some extent that I made in 2024 because they were all made that year. Like I just was like, here's, I do think having made the feature and having like the kind of,
you had a calling card.
I had a calling card and I was like, this is who I am. I'm literally broke as hell. Like if you want to be in this, I honestly like can, I can't really pay you. And I mean, pay people SAG rates, whatever, but like, it's like going to be a tiny thing. And if you want to do it, would love to have you. And if not, like no worries, and people, I think they want to work and they want to make stuff. And with shorts,
actors want to act.
And with shorts, they're a short time commitment.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like
so real.
I think it really doesn't hurt to like shoot your shot with actors with shorts, because even if you haven't made a feature, it's just like, hey, we'll pay your rate. If they like the script, like your SAG day rate, and they like the script, are you free for 2 days? Like, especially if you live in LA or New York already and like they live there.
Yeah.
Why not? Like, I think.
I love that.
So did you self-fund
Yeah.
all three of those shorts?
Not Debaters. Debaters was a bigger budget. Holiday House was like made for $3,000 with two friends in my apartment.
I love your apartment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's very cute.
I especially love your miniatures room.
Oh my God, thank you so much. You guys should come over.
Yeah.
Debaters was made for a bigger budget, and that company, Full Spectrum, that was one of the producers of my feature, financed the short because I'm developing it into a feature, and they are going to be like a producer of the feature.
Congratulations.
So
That's so
I mean,
awesome.
you know, I'm
Yeah.
developing it. Like, what the hell
Yeah,
does
yeah,
that even
but
mean?
like
But
that's
like,
cool. And I think
yeah.
that's something that people do know. Like, okay, I can make a proof of concept, but I think knowing that, you know, if you have a production company interested in your voice and your work
Yeah.
and your scripts,
Yeah.
like they could finance that.
Yeah.
Wait, so tell us about like how that came together.
Yeah.
Did
Well,
you had a full feature script that they signed on to, and then were they like make a proof?
No,
or-
I just have been like talking about it for 2 years to Eugene, where I was just like, I am obsessed with this world of congressional debate, and I want to make a movie about it, and I feel very strongly about it. And
I love that world.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it was cool.
And the short is really fun.
Thanks.
For those who haven't seen it yet, Debaters is about high school debate competition. And I think what you do so smartly in the short is like, yeah, it's teenagers debating one of the very classic debate topics, but they come from such different backgrounds, and you get little snippets into their lives of like where they're coming from, and then they have to argue
Yeah.
pro against, which might be very different from their personal experience.
Yeah, definitely. And like in the short, there are 2 adult judges who are like seemingly not as smart as the kids themselves, and they are doing their best, and it kind of goes off the rails.
Yeah.
So this feature, the production company had the incentive of using this as a tool. It's an investment to try to finance, or to get the feature made.
And get people interested and excited.
Yeah.
And it was in a major festival.
Which it's serving that purpose
Yeah.
so far.
Yeah.
Like it premiered at Sundance. Like we were potentially not even gonna submit it to any film festivals. And we submitted to like just a couple, and it got into Sundance, which was great, and it was super exciting and fun.
I am curious because I think people have this question, and I think it'll be helpful to hear. Getting your feature onto Peacock,
Yeah.
was that a process you were involved in? Or like, I think there's a lot of people who make things that are fantastic and then they don't get distribution.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about
Well,
that.
one thing that I think is interesting about that question is we premiered at Tribeca, and there was like not big offers. And I think that, first of all, I think it's gone down in general, what like indie movies sell for festivals out of, but also like Tribeca is a smaller market than like Sundance is. Got a few offers from places that like are notable, but the number was really low, and people were really unhappy with it. Our sales agents were not very seemingly sure that we would get any more for it. So I think they wanted us to just like take a
one.
deal and be like, this is as good as it's going to get. However, to Adrian's immense credit, she was just like, no, we're not taking like that big of an L here. I'm going to keep digging, you know, aside from the sales agents. And she ultimately like found the Peacock offer, like, I don't know, a year later or something.
Whoa.
Maybe less, but like it was many months later. There was this wave of offers. We decided that none of them were good enough, and then someone had the like, you know, persistence and talent to be like, I'm going rogue and I'm going to find more money for this.
That's
And
badass.
yeah, and so what we
Yeah.
did end up, was not this grandiose giant number, but it was 5 times the biggest offer.
Hell
to
yeah.
date.
That's
So-
amazing.
Go, Adrian.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are towards the end of our
Yes.
Yeah.
thing. I'd love to end on just like a piece of advice for people who are listening. What do you think is the biggest difference in crafting a successful short film script from crafting like a successful feature or a pilot? 'Cause I think sometimes we watching so many submissions for shorts for Not Your Daddy's Films, like I would speak to people try to make it have the arc of a feature,
Yeah.
but it's so short.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm curious what your take on that is.
Yeah, I think, well, it's my personal taste too, but I just think I think a short should tell a complete story. It should feel satisfying at the end. I think people often bite off way more than is necessary to chew. Like, I think a great story can be told between two people in one room. It's like not always the biggest scope, and not saying everyone should do that, but my most recent short is like the smallest scope I've done in a long time, and it's done well. And this film is called You Know You Want to Stay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
it's online. You can watch it.
Yeah, it's like a drama that takes place in one room with two people essentially, and it's like I think and it's 9 minutes long. I think it's okay to just take a small piece of something and really focus in on it and dig into it. Like, you don't need to go on a gigantic journey in order for it to physically, for it to be like a small emotional journey. And like, just really thinking about peeling back any detail that isn't necessary to this moment. Like, we don't need characters or bits of information that aren't helping us right now, because often what that does, I think, is just make it longer, which is like, for me, I feel like a short film ideally should be under 15 minutes. Like, that's my personal taste, you know. And I
think if your short film is more than 15 minutes, you should go back to editing.
Well, yeah, and it's just
shorter.
like it's a hard position to be in, even from just like a festival programming plays or whatever. Like, I think to be like the longest version of the medium that you're in and that you're competing with, and like, part of the beauty of a short versus a feature is that you can get someone to just watch it in a small amount of time. So like, the shorter the better. Yep. You can tell a great story in a short amount of time, and someone can press play on that on your website or whatever before they read your script. I mean, that's the power of a short, is being able to tell a succinct story and get in and get out. And so if it's like quite long for a short, off the bat, I think people are like, whoa, like, this is intense and I don't have time for it.
I think that this is kind of the perfect transition to our last segment, which is hot takes, where we'll give you a hot take on something film related. And do you want to go first, or do you want us to go first?
You go first.
Okay. So something I've been thinking about a lot, and very much came up in my mind as we were talking about this, is that when I started making shorts, I was doing sketches, and a lot of times I would never put that on the internet or share it with anyone, because I was like, oh, in the end, this came out very bad, you know, like truly awful. And I didn't have the thought process of like, well, that was for nothing, because I don't think, like, I'm 34 and I feel like I grew up with like one house computer that we all shared. And so it wasn't like everything I do gets put online as a actor, improviser, stand-up comedian. It was sort of like, maybe like I can email that to my aunt and uncle, you know, and maybe they'll find it funny. Yeah. And a hot take is, I think we could take a little bit more of that attitude into right now and present day, and me as an adult person being like, I can actually make something or write something that doesn't feed into my career or make me money or needs to go out to like the 1,000 people who follow me online. I think I could just make things to figure out, like, does this work? It's the same ethos I have around doing stand-up, where I'm like, I can go to an open mic tonight and find out if this joke is funny or resonates with an audience, and I can hear how to tweak it. And I'm just right now, I'm redoing The Artist's Way for the second time. And I think I'm
for the second time.
Yeah, I think
we're all in it.
Wait, what? I need to do it.
Yeah,
Have you done it
it's
before?
great.
Oh, you should. It's
oh my
great.
God,
Okay.
that should be your hot take.
Yeah.
But like, I just think that there's so much to be gained from that. And hearing you talk about like making all this stuff with your friends, that's why I got into this, was to make stuff with my friends and have a great time. And I think sometimes I get really caught up in the business side of things and like, what's this going to do for me? So I say, fuck it.
And also just like, even if it doesn't do something for you, I think that's the right mentality to have, but also just like, something may do something for you 10 years from now.
Yeah,
you never know. You just don't know.
You go.
Okay.
Yep.
So I think that with option agreements that producers present sometimes, there'll be like, hey, we want your script, and and sometimes the person will be like, I want to direct it too. Is that part of the vision? And you kind of just have to trust that the producers will let you direct it. If you try to ask, but it doesn't say in my option agreement like that I like legally am attached to direct this, because that's not the norm. Oh, we don't put that in. That's just not part of it. That's not part of option agreements, you know, for the most part. So you just have to trust that they'll like want you to direct it and stick with that. As someone who's been through that and was like told they'd direct and then was removed, I have ever since then felt like my hot take is that it should become standard, or at least common practice, to have a director's clause in an option agreement. And that, like, if you ask for that, people won't look at you like you're insane or something. Because it's just too vulnerable for writer-directors who want to direct their own work. You have to take this jump and, like, basically trust
strangers.
Yeah. And it's like, it's honestly, it's not good for writers. Writer-directors.
I love
That makes me think about what I'll call David Lynch's hot take.
Okay.
But he always talked about how he would never sign a contract unless it gave him final cut. And he learned that lesson from the disaster that was David Lynch's Dune. The studio did not give him final cut, and I speak like this is my best friend, David Lynch. I know,
but it is.
But I love him so much.
Yes.
So that should be in contracts too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's really ask for what you want and you need, and no, people are probably going to say no to you, but it's just like anytime somebody does something for the first time, it takes somebody taking that step, you know, and we should have to try to normalize those things.
Yeah.
Alex, thank you so much for coming on Daddy Dailies.
Thank you so much for having you guys.
Such a
This was
freaking
awesome.
blast. I think it's so
great.
Educational. Where can people find your work, follow you, all the things?
I'm on Instagram at AlexRHell. Sometimes I post things from my life, and I have a Vimeo account where I post my shorts, and I have some miniatures hidden away on the internet that if you dig hard enough you will find.
I love that. Also, there is another Alex Heller out there,
and we are friends.
And we've actually screened a short the musical that Giselle Bonilla directed that he wrote. But your website is RIP Alex Heller.
Yeah, mine is RIP Alex Heller because I'm dead. And I made that in like high school, and I don't know why it's still a thing. But yeah.
That's incredible.
RIPAlexHeller.com.
Well, because AlexHeller.com is probably not available.
Well, also like for a long time, I mean, it's got to be like one of the most common names. I don't know. But for a long time, if you Googled Alex Heller, it was like a mathematician who died in the 80s or something. But then it was a picture of me. But it's not like that anymore.
That's incredible.
Yeah. But other Alex Heller is going by Alexander Heller now.
Okay, amazing.
Just FYI.
Yes.
Good for him. Yeah.
And the musical features
is phenomenal.
Is
shooting right now.
Yes, it's shooting right now with
I'm
Rob
not sure.
Lowe. We're so
I'm
excited.
so excited about it. The short was incredible.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
good. I loved watching it at your
Shout
event.
out Giselle, we love you.
Yes.
We're big fangirls over here at Not Your Daddy's Films.
We are. It's
You
the
guys are
best part of
cool.
the job.
We like to like things. It's
Yeah.
cool to like. My hot take was gonna be, it's okay to like things. You don't have to critique
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
It's cool to just enjoy things.
Oh my
love
God.
that.
And you shouldn't shame people for loving something.
Yeah, man.
Never. You can follow us at Daddy Dailies Pod on Instagram and on TikTok, and come back next week for another episode.
Daddy Dailies is presented by Not Your Daddy's Films, a social impact organization dedicated to educating and empowering women and non-binary creatives in TV and film. If you like what you heard today, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a positive review. And if you want more Daddy episode insights and links to what we talked about, join us on Patreon/NYD Films. Daddy Dailies is produced in partnership with Robert Bailey and edited by Carly Tamarin, Pika Stubblebine, Claudia Restrepo, and Gracie Strauss. See you next time, Daddy.